Hello guys, how is everyone doing this afternoon? I hope that everybody is having a great day on this Wednesday. This is hump day in this work week. So I know a lot of y'all have been on your grind all day, been busy, trying to get home, trying to cook dinner, maybe wash clothes, maybe do some yard work. Just living a busy lives, okay? And especially if you got children or grandchildren, I know that they do occupy a lot of your time, okay? So I just want to come on real briefly here and talk about what we've been discussing, or some of the those of you that have been following me this week here, looking at the discussions that I have been sharing out with you pertaining to the prophet Jeremiah. And with Jeremiah, whenever I am looking at his scriptures or passages, Jeremiah basically was making a announcement. He's making an announcement. He's giving the people a warning. He is the mouthpiece for God. And he is in a very touchy situation where God is giving him some instructions and telling him some things that he should say. And Jeremiah is like, God, I don't know if I am the best person to say this. Or are you sure you really want me to tell these people this? You know, that's the type of situation that Jeremiah is in. So whenever we looked at, we basically covered the entire chapter 1 of Jeremiah, which is the call of Jeremiah, with the beginning phases of it. And looking at the historical background of the story is that Israel was rebelling. Okay, they've been rebelling for year after year. They didn't have king after king that has been rebelling and leading the people astray. Even the priests, the leaders, everybody was leading the people astray. And God now at this point is very angry. He's very frustrated with Israel because he's like, I've done everything that I could possibly do to y'all to show y'all that I am your God, that I will protect you. I will lead you on the path of righteousness, but you have disobeyed me. You have ignored me. And now you all are out here worshiping all these other types of gods and just now forgetting about him, forgetting about everything that he has done for them. That's what the Israelites were doing. So at this time now, God is using Jeremiah. Okay, during this generation, God has called Jeremiah to be his mouthpiece, to be his spokesperson, to tell the people what they need to hear, not necessarily what they want to hear, but he is trying to give them another chance, another opportunity to get it right one more last time. So there won't be no excuses to say, well, I didn't know what the Lord wanted. He didn't tell me nothing. He didn't show us nothing. So here is now the last straw where God is fed up, but he's like, I'm going to give them one more time, one more chance, and I'm going to use Jeremiah as my mouthpiece to speak to them, to get them to listen and to repent. So Jeremiah, on the other hand, is looking at it like, well, God, why are you calling me? Number one, he's like, I am too young. I'm too young for this. Like, I have no experience in this area of speaking to large crowds or anything like that. Like, no, I am not the best candidate. And then the thing that God tells Jeremiah is, first chapter, Jeremiah, the 5th verse, he says, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. So right there, God had it all planned out. Remember, he knows the beginning to the end. So he had everything already planned out. And in this particular generation, Jeremiah was his spokesperson. He knew that Jeremiah was going to come on the scene in this generation. And so now he's telling Jeremiah this, and Jeremiah is like amazed. He's stunned at the same time. He's puzzled, like, why me? But it was something about Jeremiah that God appointed him to be the mouthpiece. Okay. And then right after God tells him that, that's when Jeremiah gets into, he starts to reply back to the Lord, and he's saying that, I'm too young. You must go to everyone. God is telling him, you must go to everyone I send you to and say whatever I command you. Do not be afraid of them, for I am with you and will rescue you, declares the Lord. So here he's telling Jeremiah that no matter what happens, I am here with you. Don't be afraid. I got your back. Okay. And then he also goes on and say that, looking down in the 9th verse, it says, then the Lord reached out his hand and touched my mouth and said to me, I have put my words in your mouth. See, today I appoint you over nations and kingdoms to uproot and tear down, to destroy and overthrow, to build and to plant. So here Jeremiah was coming through, and he was about to shut this thing down. He was about to shut it down. He was about to destroy it. He was about to demolish it. And this is what the Lord told him, that this is going to be his task. But also at the same time now, he's telling him that he's going to destroy it, but he's going to be the one to help build it and plant it back up to make it right. So God is just not going to just let it just fail. No, he's going to correct it. He's going to make it right. All right, with these Israelites. And he's hoping at this point too, that before he comes in to destroy, that the Israelites will get it together. That's what he's hoping to happen when Jeremiah comes and tell the crowd this and tell the people that. Okay. And so it's just something to think about, that at times too, God may ask you to do something that you are personally not comfortable with. You feel like you're not ready. You feel like you're not the best candidate, but God chose you to do a specific task, and he needs you to do it. This is not something that, oh, this is an option. No, he needs you to do it to help fulfill the mission. Okay. And so now God is talking to Jeremiah, and here he is going to use some examples to confirm with Jeremiah about that I am with you and that I will never leave you. And so, like, one of the first things God asks him is, do you see an almond tree? And Jeremiah's like, yeah, I see the almond tree. And he said, you have seen correctly, for I am watching to see that my word is fulfilled. So that was the first sign right there. And then the next thing he says, the word of the Lord came to me again. And he said, what do you see? He says, I see a pot that is boiling. I answered, it is tilting towards us from the north. And the Lord said to me, from the north, disaster will be poured out on all who live in the land. I am about to summon all the peoples of the northern kingdoms, declares the Lord. So here he's giving them that final warning, and then he's actually telling them what is about to take place, what is about to happen if they don't repent, if they don't stop worshiping these idol gods. And then the leaders, he's getting on them too for doing this. He blames all of them. Like, y'all was supposed to be the people that were in charge, and now look, y'all have led everybody astray. Okay? And so looking further here, at Jeremiah, God was using him as a tool, using him as an instrument to set the tone, to give them a warning, to make the announcement, to summon the people that this is about to take place if y'all don't get it together. Okay. And whenever you read Jeremiah, he is very descriptive. All right. He does describe it. And when he describes it, you can imagine it. You can see the vision, or help you to visualize what was actually going on, or what God was planning to happen here when he destroys Israel. All right. The Israelites. And so with this pot that was boiling and tilting from the north, that was really a reference point that another nation was about to come in and conquer the people. The nation of Babylon with King Nebuchadnezzar, they were about to come in and destroy, and God was going to allow it to happen. Okay, so he's telling them what is going to happen. But in Jeremiah, he is the spokesperson. So he is very, in a tough situation. Like, he knows something bad is about to happen, and he has to go out and tell the people, and he's looking like, well, how can I explain this? How can I say this, that, something bad is about to happen? Like, I have seen the vision. I know it's about to happen. And so now at this point too, whenever Jeremiah does come on the scene and Jeremiah does come around, a lot of them, they don't want to hear nothing that Jeremiah has to say, but which the Lord had already told him that beforehand, that they were going to be rebellious, that they wasn't going to listen to him, that they wasn't going to pay him any attention, but you just keep on doing what I asked you to do. And so sometimes it makes you think about if a situation arises, if you're at work or somewhere and you have to stand alone, and God is telling you one thing to stand up for what is right, but maybe everybody else is on the other side looking at you, and you're like, God, why you put me on this side of the table? Because sometimes it ain't good to always be with the majority. It's just a matter of being on the right side and doing the right thing. And so here, that is what Jeremiah was dealing with. That is what he was coping with. All of this was going on in his mind as he was being the spokesperson for God. But in the end, Jeremiah did exactly what he was told to do. Jeremiah had his orders. God prepared him. God told him exactly what to say. And so here God was prepping him. All right, prepping him. And God told him to not be afraid. Like, I know you're going to get nervous. I know you're going to be a little bit, afraid and worried. But he also goes and tells him when on the 18th verse, he says, today I have made you a fortified city, an iron pillar, and a bronze wall to stand against the whole land, against the kings of Judah, its officials, its priests, and the people of the land. They will fight against you, but will not overcome you. For I am with you and will rescue you, declares the Lord. All right. So here, that was a good feeling. All right. That's a good feeling that God now has given Jeremiah his marching orders, and Jeremiah was obedient, and he did what the Lord told him to do. And so you can think of countless people throughout history that had to be out on the forefront, standing up for what they believed in. And I know at times it was very uncomfortable. Okay, very uncomfortable, because you got to put up with the backlash. You got to put up with the comments and different things like that. And especially in our time when we got social media, I mean, they can just always just come on and just post something negative about you, but they don't even know you. But at the same time, you know what you're doing is coming from the heart. This is not about making money or making a name for yourself. Like, you're being so sincere and you're being real about this thing, whatever it is that you are fighting for. Okay, or maybe you're helping a group of people to fight for their rights or whatever. Okay, but it does get uncomfortable, and we can relate to Jeremiah. Okay, we can relate to this. All right. So in the end, what is God saying to us when I looked at the end of this? Pretty much, God is not just for the Old Testament prophets. The book of Jeremiah challenges us to believe that God has a purpose for each of us. His calling will look different in each person's life. Sometimes his purpose will be difficult to accept and may even be intimidating. However, as we obey, he will be with us and enable us to do what he asks us to do. So think about your purpose. Think about your task. Think about what he has called you to do. Okay, so yes, you probably responded like Jeremiah, like, you're talking to me. No, I'm too young. I can't do this. I am not the best candidate. Yeah, it does happen. It does happen. And then there are some other stories too that you can read upon about when God called each of these individuals, and look at first how they responded. But in the end, they each obeyed and did what God told them to do. So you can read about the story of Abraham, call of Abram, reaffirmed in the book of Genesis, the 17th chapter. You can look at the call of Moses reaffirmed when you read the book of Exodus, the 4th chapter. Look at the story of Gideon in the book of Judges, the 6th chapter. Look at the call of Samuel, 1 Samuel, the 3rd chapter. Look at the call of Elisha, 1 Kings, 19th chapter. And then also look at the call of Isaiah, Isaiah, the 6th chapter. So when you look at each of these individuals, all of them was hesitant. And was they perfect? No, they were not perfect people. Okay, they were not winning the popularity contest if they did have one back then. No. But God chose them. God chooses who he wants to choose. Not, he don't think like man. He don't think like people. He chooses who he wants to choose. Okay? So don't get discouraged. Okay? You fight on. Okay? You fight on and you complete the task, you complete the mission, and you will receive your reward for whatever it is that God got you to do. If it is to be a nurse to help people, if it is to be a doctor, if it is something like we're cutting people's grass, if it is doing community service, or starting up a ministry, or if it's being a teacher, whatever it is that he calls you to do, he needs you to do it because there's somebody there that needs you. Okay? Everything is not about you. He needs you to do it because somebody there needs you. And you may not ever find out who it was, but at the end of the day, you did your task. You did what you were supposed to do. And in the end, you did impacted somebody's life. And one day you may find out. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But don't get discouraged. Okay, don't get discouraged. All right. So y'all read more about Jeremiah and then read about the others that I just mentioned here as an inspiration to you to whenever you go out here and doing your call, doing your mission, doing your task, think about Jeremiah and be like, you know what? I got this. I got this. I can do this. All right.